Jacob Ross, film guy here. A liminal space is a place that feels like it's waiting for something, like time has stopped, like the universe forgot to clean it up. It feels like a place that you've been before, but you just can't remember when or where. Maybe it was your local mall, a playground you used to go to as a kid, or even a childhood home. I find it incredibly fascinating. Liminal spaces have taken off online over the past few years, and it was only a matter of time before people realized that movies could feel the same way too. Not just because of abandoned buildings or VHS grain, but because some films just live in that strange emotional in-between. They feel like memories you never had. Like dreams you woke up early from. I took a look at some of my favorite films of all time to see which ones deliver the most accurate and terrifying experience of liminal spaces.
These are the movies that don't just show liminal spaces.
They are liminal spaces.
There's no perfect checklist, but when a film feels liminal, it usually leans into a few things. Stillness and emptiness. Empty hallways, parking lots, rooms with no furniture. There is a stillness in the air. Objects left untouched for decades. Areas that haven't been entered in ages. And I see this in Tarkovsky's Stalker, where three men walk endlessly through a maze of traps and death to reach a room that might grant them anything they dream of. But first, they have to wander through a decaying wasteland full of fog and silence. An incredibly quiet and slow-burning film that has some of the most beautiful examples of capturing stillness that I've ever seen. And this can be said for a lot of Tarkovsky's films, but another great example of his is from Mirror. Mirror, in my opinion, is the ultimate liminal film. Not because of a creepy hallway or an abandoned house, but because it floats in the emotional fog between memory, dream, and identity. We drift through the life of Alexei, a man at the end of his life, revisiting moments from childhood, war, love, and loss. But none of it is linear. Time folds in on itself. His childhood home is both a place of comfort and unbearable distance. And much like a dream, we don't always know where we are. A woman levitates off her bed. A barn burns in the distance. A man stands in a field as wind tears through the grass like a wave. And what makes Mirror so haunting isn't just its visuals. It's how Tarkovsky treats memory as a physical space. We're not watching a story unfold. We're walking through someone's subconscious. The liminal doesn't have to be scary. Sometimes it's gentle. It's soft light on the wallpaper. It's the silence between a mother's words. It's that ache of remembering something so vividly, only to realize it never happened the way you thought it did. Another example of stillness can be seen in Vivarium, where a young couple becomes trapped in a suburban neighborhood that repeats forever. Every house is identical, and every moment is unnervingly quiet. Well, except for the screaming child throughout the whole film. Although I wasn't really a huge fan of this film, mainly because of the screaming baby, it is probably one of the only films I've seen where the main premise of the film is centered around a liminal space. The film has a fun concept of what it would be like getting dropped into one of these spaces and having to find a way out, or giving up and living there for the rest of your life.
Hey, are you enjoying the video? Very good. Are you subscribed? No? Well, what are you waiting for? Many more film-oriented videos are waiting for you on this channel, so click that subscribe button and check out the rest of my videos after this one. Alright, let's move on.
In Skinamarink, a child wanders through an abandoned house as reality slowly dissolves around him. There's no clear monster, no real goal, just a suffocating sense of delay, like the horror is on hold. And I don't have a clue how it was done, but Skinamarink is like reliving childhood trauma. Like everyone else, I was afraid of the dark as a kid. Not of the dark itself, but what could be in it. The thought of being in a dark house, alone, with no windows to look out, no doors to escape, the only light source being the television, playing cartoons to bring you comfort, and hope to forget that there is something else lurking in your house. To me, there isn't any other film like this out there. I believe Skinamarink to be the golden egg when it comes to capturing the feeling of a liminal space.
And what I love about Skinamarink so much is that it takes its time to reveal itself. It has to be some of the best tension building I've seen in a long time. And this film is all about waiting and playing with your expectations.
It's achieved by the terrifying cinematography and sound design, feeding off the unknown, taking you back to a time where you couldn't explain the noises in the ceiling or what might be lurking in the dark corners of a room.
And while I think this film is just a bit too long, some of the shots are a bit repetitive and go on for too long, but I feel like every minute of this film just adds to the experience.
Every extra minute that holds onto one shot in this film gives you more time to question what you are seeing. The fuzzy grain tricks you into seeing something that isn't there.
And I know many people have called this film pretentious because of its strange storytelling and presentation. This film is not for everyone, and I could see a lot of people hating it for not having a lot to grab onto with its thin plot. Skinamarink is an experimental horror film for sure, but I have a lot of respect for filmmaker Kyle Edward Ball, who managed to not only craft an incredibly original horror film, but actually make it upsettingly terrifying. Dream logic is another layer in crafting a great liminal space. Have you ever had a dream where you're in your house, but it's not your house? Objects have different positions, or you see someone you know, but they're acting like a stranger.
I thought I heard a stranger.
To me, David Lynch's work is some of the best I have ever seen that captures dream logic perfectly. It's probably because dreams are the key to his creative process.
Very rarely, but I always say I love the dream logic. Cinema can say a dream logic, which is an abstraction. It can say things that are difficult to say in words. Just like when you have a dream, so much understanding for you, but when you're trying to tell your friend, it's very difficult to say in words something that will give your friend the same experience you had. So, but cinema can be the dream, can give that thing. Still, there's different interpretations.
Eraserhead and Lost Highway do this perfectly. In Lost Highway, one man transforms into another, locations reset without warning, time loops or disappears completely, things occur that make zero sense, and it is terrifying. Eraserhead might be the perfect example of this. It doesn't just show liminal spaces, it traps the viewer inside them. What makes it so effective isn't just the industrial setting or the grainy black and white film stock. It's the sound, or sometimes the lack of it, which captures what a dream, or more accurately, a nightmare, really feels like. It's also what the film's tagline suggests, where your nightmares end. Take this moment, for example, a brief scene where Henry walks through a puddle on his way home. It seems insignificant until you notice what's missing. There's no splash, no footstep, no environmental sound at all. Just a thick, mechanical drone in the background. And that's what makes it so unsettling.
In real life, we are surrounded by sound. Footsteps, creaks, cars, birds, wind. But in dreams, those rules fall apart. Dream logic isn't about nonsense. It's about repression, fragmentation, and disconnect. You're in a familiar place, but it behaves strangely.
People don't speak like people. Time loops or skips, and actions have no physical weight. That missing splash is a perfect example. Your brain expects something, but when it doesn't come, your subconscious starts to spiral. It's not just eerie, it's wrong in a way you can't explain. Lynch understands that the most effective way to simulate a dream is not through wild surrealism, but through small, wrong details. The dream isn't loud, it's mute where it shouldn't be. And that's why, to me, Eraserhead feels more than just a film. It feels like a place you accidentally walked into and now can't leave.
Liminal spaces don't have to be physical. They can be emotional, psychological, and spiritual. They can exist entirely within a person. suspended between who they were and who they're about to become.
In Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, David Lynch explores one of the most devastating liminal states I have ever seen on film. Laura Palmer isn't just a character nearing the end of her life. She's a person caught in between dimensions, between girlhood and death, between public identity and private horror, between reality and the Red Room. Even the most mundane settings feel off. Her classroom, her living room, her bedroom. These places aren't haunted. They're places warped by trauma Laura has experienced. It's as if every space Laura enters remembers what's coming, even if she doesn't. Take the scene in her bedroom when she realizes that Bob, the entity abusing her, and her father are the same person. She breaks down in a scream, not just from terror, but from the collapse of her entire sense of reality. The room remains still, quiet, like it's absorbing her pain. That's not just a scene, to me. I see it as a liminal space. Her perception of the world will never be the same again. Or the scene at the Pink Room, where the sound is muffled, the dialogue is almost incomprehensible, and the room pulses with red light and distorted music. It's a place that's meant to feel like disassociation. You're not watching a scene, you're being pulled into Laura's psyche, where time and logic stop working. It's not about narrative, it's about mood, tone, and disorientation. That's the power of emotional liminality. The horror doesn't come from what happens. It comes from being stuck in the space before something happens. The dread of knowing something is wrong, but not being able to name it. Laura Palmer lives in that space, in that final week, final dream, final scream, and we're forced to live there with her.
So why are we obsessed with this? Why do we save images of empty arcades and old malls? Because we've been there. Not literally, but emotionally. Liminal spaces remind us of the time we were in between jobs, in between relationships, in between childhood and adulthood, between feeling fine and falling apart.
Liminal films don't comfort us, they mirror us. They echo that quiet panic of not knowing what comes next. The way grief lingers before it's named. The way nostalgia feels warm until it hurts. When we watch Skinamarink, we're not watching a kid lost in the dark. We're reliving the shapeless fears we had when we were young. Those late nights staring at the hallway, praying nothing would move. When we wander through the zone in Stalker, or the loop in Vivarium, we're not watching science fiction. We're watching the slow, painful realization that there may not be a way out. That this might be it. That maybe no one's coming to rescue you. And yet, we keep walking. When Laura Palmer screams in Fire Walk with Me, she's not just reacting to terror. She's breaking under the weight of finally knowing the truth. That everything she thought was safe wasn't. And yet, she keeps moving too. These films don't live in traditional stories. They live in sensations, in static, in silence, in flickering hallways and mechanical hums. They don't hand you answers. They hand you atmosphere. And in doing so, they give shape to something we rarely know how to say. I feel lost. Liminal horror isn't just about jump scares or monsters. It's about being stuck in the moment before something happens. Or worse, the moment after something's already changed and you're the last to know. It's the grief that hasn't landed yet. The childhood home that still smells like your life, but no longer belongs to you. It's that impossible middle ground between memory and dream, between fear and understanding. A place you don't recognize, but feel like you've been to 1,000 times.
That's why we're drawn to it, because even when it creeps us out, it's telling us the truth. We're not afraid of being alone in these spaces. We're afraid because we've never really left them.
Most of these movies don't wrap up with a neat bow. Eraserhead ends with a quiet breakdown into static, and Stalker ends with a girl moving a glass of water with her mind. They don't answer the question. They leave you inside the hallway. These films don't tie up their loose ends. They leave them out in the open for interpretation. I think I love these films because they feel like the inside of my head when I can't sleep, or even when I am asleep. When everything's quiet. When the world feels like it ended, but no one told me. when the world is slowed down and everything's quiet. That's what makes them feel more real than anything else.
Thank you for stopping by today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new or returning and you enjoyed this kind of video. Take care, and I'll see you around.